Well, it's one of the deadliest airline accidents to ever happen over U.S. soil and is still the source of controversy and debate. I talked to investigators and eyewitnesses to try to figure out what really caused TWA Flight 800 to explode just off our south shore.
We just saw an explosion out here at 5507.
TWA 800 Center.
Someone about 16,000 feet or something like that. It just went down.
TWA 800, is he here? Center ident.
I think that was him.
I think so.
God bless him.
At 8:31 p.m. on July 17, 1996, 230 people died when TWA Flight 800 exploded midair and fell into the ocean just south of Moriches Inlet. After a 4-year joint investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board, the FBI, and the CIA, the official report concluded that a spark in the 747 center wing fuel tank likely caused the explosion.
But again, no evidence of an explosion just from looking at the boxes.
We certainly can't tell.
We couldn't tell. It was because the way the aircraft had exploded, portions of the aircraft continued. The nose piece fell off, and then the bulk of the aircraft.
But numerous eyewitnesses, along with members of the investigation itself, say that conclusion is way off course.
There is more than plenty witness evidence that there were 2 missiles fired at sea and 1 missile fired from shore.
And we all looked out the window and we saw a large fireball coming up out of the water.
There are radar hits of debris going out the right side of the airplane in excess of Mach 4, which is about 6,000 plus or minus miles per hour.
Henry Hughes was the senior accident investigator for the NTSB at the crash site. He says radar traces show pieces of wreckage rocketing away from the jet at 3 to 4 times the speed of sound. He also points to chemicals found on the seats and portions of the fuselage. The government called it glue. He says it was explosive material. Hughes believes there's no doubt something hit TWA Flight 800.
That's an explosion that occurred external to the airplane, and we know that from looking at the victims and the interior.
Every year on the anniversary, friends and family gather here at the memorial to remember those lost in the crash. It's an ominous tribute to the 3rd most deadly aviation accident in the U.S. However, for many, the question whether it was an accident remains. More than 200 people claimed the night of the crash they saw a bright light head up into the sky, arch above, and then head directly toward Flight 800. And none of those witnesses were ever allowed to publicly testify at the NTSB hearings.
The official report is somebody's fantasy.
Fred Meyer is a retired Air National Guard helicopter pilot and decorated Vietnam veteran. He was flying a practice approach at Gabreski Airport near West Hampton the night of the crash.
Directly ahead of me, my scan picks up a rocket plume moving about 10 degrees above the horizon, moving from my left center to my further left.
Those were clearly 4 missiles. The explosions of 4 missiles or anti-aircraft weapons.
Critics of the official findings point to some of the damage in the fuselage as more consistent with a missile strike than an internal explosion. However, Jim Hall, chairman of the NTSB at the time, still stands by the report.
There was enough evidence there. I reviewed every piece of information. Everything that you mentioned was reviewed by everyone involved.
But Hughes, a veteran government crash expert, says this investigation was anything but normal.
Everything from people breaking into my hangar at 3 o'clock in the morning and removing parts, people who weren't authorized to, I might add. The FBI caught their own people breaking in and didn't know, said they didn't know why they were doing it. The whole thing was controlled.
Our agency did an outstanding job at the time, and I don't know what purpose some of these people may have in trying to keep the matter alive.
20 years has done nothing to calm the waters between the official findings of the government and those who remain on board with the missile theory.
This was on American soil on a beautiful summer day, and 230 people on a commercial airliner were killed when it was shot down off Long Island.
To this day, that crash has not officially been cleared of criminality, and the investigation remains open, both from the NTSB and the FBI. We have more information on the competing theories of what caused Flight 800 to crash on our website, news12.com. And if you'd like to watch more of our interviews with the individuals involved in the investigation, plus additional archive footage from the scene, just go to Channel 612 and click on News 12 Extra.